Welcome back to the Gun Show VIP edition. I mean, who doesn't love being a VIP? Very important person is what it usually means, but you pick your own acronym based on how you like the show. Now, welcome back to the Gun Show VIP edition. For those of you who are tuning in the first time, yes, I have giant muscles. No, it's not about muscles. I don't have any guns either, so I apologize if that's why you've tuned in. Although, please stay. You'll probably love this show. But it is about manufacturing, creating awareness and respect for an industry that makes everything around us and truly solidifies and creates stability in countries around the world, including here in the U.S. where we're filming this in Boca Raton, Florida. So we want to give a sense of respect to everything that's around us. For me, I look at a TV and go, man, I'm so happy I have a remote control. I could be a little bit lazy and not have to get up like when I was a kid and flip to my 3 channels that I had. You young folks out there won't get that joke, but for you older folks, yes, we had to get up every time, flip to 6, 12, 35. I think that was pretty much it. I think there was a 23 where Sesame Street was, but that's not what today's about either. Before we get into what today's about and we open your mind, hint, hint, wink, wink. You might know where that's going in just a minute. Before we open your mind, I want to thank our sponsors, AMT, IMTS, eButter Grow Systems. Thank you for everything you do. I also want to thank the MTD team for everything you're doing as well. Certainly for us here in the U.S., but also being a global media channel that truly brings manufacturing to life. Now, if I'm not too long-winded and you've decided to stick around to meet my amazing guest who's far cooler than I am, please welcome, put your hands together for my friend, Mr. Peter Bigman. Thank you so much. He is the account manager at Open Mind Technologies. Hence my bad dad joke of opening your mind today or having your mind open. This is some of the most forward-thinking, creative, intuitive software on the planet right now. You'll see some really creative designs making obviously practical things that go into your body and make everything around us, as I've already discussed, but really fun things as well with some of their elite partners out there. But I'm not going to steal Peter's thunder today. I'm going to let Peter talk about that. Peter, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Welcome back to the Gun Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition.
Thank you so much for having me. Boca, right?
Yeah.
We made it. All right.
We did. We're not having the weather we love currently. It feels like a Scottish summer and not a Florida winter, but it's okay.
It certainly does. It's I've heard from a lot of the locals. I've only down here for about a year now, down in Florida. I'm on the Space Coast. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's an unusually wet winter.
It is. And normally we're laying on the beach this time of year. In fact, my family and I, we just got back from Bali where it was about 95 degrees. And we're like, don't worry. We're going to get back home and still be laying on the beach. I don't think it's gotten above 75 the entire time we've been here. And it's been cold and rainy. And anyway, that's not what today's about either. Peter, I would love to know more about your story. I've kind of highlighted a little bit of the Hypermill, Open Mind Technology side of things, which we will get into later on in this show because it's software that's worth recognizing and worth highlighting. But I'd love to hear more about your journey. That's how we love to start this show, is really connecting with an audience both outside the industry and within our own industry with a piece of inspiration saying, I don't want to be here at all, or I love this industry, whatever it might be. But how did your journey start, and where are we now?
Well, I would say it probably started, honestly, surprisingly as a toddler.
No kidding.
I have my mother, who has just recently retired last year, spent 46 years at the same company, so congratulations to my mom. Love
Wow,
you.
Impressive.
Yeah, my mom, she worked extremely hard. She was in a production environment. She was a production manager for a very, very long time, almost her whole career up in the Chicagoland area, and she would also take a lot of side work, so to speak. So she would take the time to make a little extra cash, go into the office at nights and clean the offices. So, when I was much younger, she would take us along because why would you hire a babysitter, of course, if you're trying to make extra money?
Of course, right? Bring them in.
So, spent a lot of time in that kind of manufacturing environment, and we would have fun with cardboard boxes and build forts as she was cleaning the office. And of course, as I get older, she does this for some time, and as I get older, now I'm able to help. So I would go in with my mom and help her sweep floors and clean toilets and mop floors. And
about how old were you at this time?
I'd say we're probably 8 or 9 years old.
You're sweeping
Maybe
floors and
10.
mopping already?
Yeah, maybe 10, yeah.
Where's my daughter? She should be listening to this right now. Let's not throw her under the bus. Please continue, Peter.
Yeah, but, she always helped out, and she gave me a little bit. Obviously times were tough back in the, mid to late 80s, of course. But So I kind of grew up in the manufacturing environment. So walking into the door of any shop or production facility, it really it's natural to me because I don't really know any better, right? So after high school, during high school, I was very interested in drafting. I also really liked home economics. And as a teenager, as I graduated, I took a gut feeling and I actually steered myself towards the culinary arts.
Did you?
Yeah, and I found out very quickly that culinary arts wasn't really my gig. I kind of crashed and burned on that whole situation. So,
And I don't want to derail you too much because I want to get back on the manufacturing topic, but what about the culinary side? Did you decide, this isn't for me?
I think that on the culinary side, once you get to the collegiate level of it, it's much more difficult. There's no margin of error. The food gets more sophisticated. It's just as an 18-year-old, maybe my priorities weren't 100%, focused on solely school, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely know what you mean.
Yeah, so that kind of got derailed, and you have to work, of course, and then
Right.
I spent some time in retail and doing some retail work, and then fast forward to 2008, economy takes a really bad turn, the housing market crashes, and it's like you got to earn or you got to move back in with mom, right? So I got into a spot where I got into a recruiter because recruiters are usually pretty good at finding you work, and it got me back into production, and I realized how natural it was for me. And then I went through a couple of stints, decided to go back to school. I went back to college and I went to computer-aided design and really, really enjoyed it. So SolidWorks, Pro-E, just really loved just the art of building things and creating models. And that really stuck with me. And then I ended up by happenstance working for a small company that had a couple of CNC lathes. And I had no idea at the time that CNC was even a thing.
Right.
I was maybe 28 years old at the time. So, but I do remember I really took to it. I was fascinated by the concept of being able to write a language for a machine and make a machine move in such a way that you can make things, which just totally blew my mind. So I was going to school at the time and I got hooked on that. And then something happened some other way where I wasn't working there anymore, but I had that CNC experience. I was able to change jaws, change inserts and tool offsets. I had the core knowledge of a setup operator, what you would do. So then ended up in a shop a little further south, and they had mills, and that was my first foray into milling. And I thought I enjoyed the turning. Boy, did I love the milling. We had some 3-axis vertical machines, a couple with indexers, and then we had some horizontal machines. So I got a lot of, that's where I learned to really become a machinist, to really understand how to set up a machine, why you're using dial indicators and calipers, how to solve problems. I mean, just these invaluable tools that you need to be successful as a machinist, right? Because parts have to get out the door in a timely manner. So, and at that time, I knew what CAD was, and I knew they had a design department. But that was really the first time, well, I wouldn't say the first time. I mean, I had heard CAM in my shorter career, like in the colleges and stuff, but never really took to it because I was more interested in being a designer at the time. And then the company I was with had a CAM software, and that's where I really got an understanding of what CAM was. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I love the CAD, and you're telling me that there's a software that can make code in the CAD. That's it. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life.
You knew.
So, yeah, I knew 100% this was exactly what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. It took me five or 6 months of pounding on the boss. When are you going to give me my shot? When am I going to get my shot? You know that I'm ready. I'm ready. I work hard for you. Give me my shot. So he finally caved in. He gave me my shot. I was working second shift at the time, and I really started. I sat alongside one of the other programmers, and he taught me as much as I needed to have to get the software up and running, to make a tool path, to post the code. I already knew how to read the code at that time, and get it onto the machine, make detailed reports of setups, work offset locations, side 1 versus side 2, all of this stuff I learned there. So, and then I ended up leaving that company, just searching for another opportunity because it had kind of stalled. And then did some, I would say some of the few regrettable moments of my career that I probably could have made some better decisions as far as leaving a little too early at some companies, or maybe going to a company early on.
Sure.
Maybe not even wasting my time with that company, but how do you know? But I think that the path ultimately has left me to where I am now, which is extremely happy. I work with an incredible company, incredible product. So when I ended up leaving that particular shop, I joined another one, and I had a call from a recruiter because I was looking around, and he said, "Hey, you know what an application engineer is?" And I said, "Honestly, I have no idea what you're talking about. What is this?" And he says, "Well, basically, it's they're programmers and they run and set up machines, but what you're going to do is ultimately you're going to help a customer with a machine, and you're going to help them with the machine itself. You'll train them on the control. You might have prospects that may want a test cut that you may have to test, machine on our machines before they buy, et cetera." So I said, "Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I think I'd like to do that." And the only thing that I didn't know, the only unknown that I didn't know, is I never traveled. I had never traveled for work in my life. And it's really difficult to land a job when you've never traveled, because some companies are really skeptical of whether or not that person's going to make it in the long term, right?
Travel can be difficult.
It is extremely difficult, yeah. But it gets easier as time goes. It actually,
As we learn.
I'm at the point now I really enjoy traveling. I love seeing and meeting new customers in person. It's a lot of fun. And, plus the food is, like I was in Atlanta a couple of months ago. The food was incredible. It was incredible. Anyways, so I did that for some time. I got my feet wet on that, and then ended up leaving because my wife and I had our second child, so the travel was getting a little tricky at the time. It was increasing, of course. I made a decision to move on and got back in the shop, and it ended up not working out. It didn't work out because the job only lasted 6 weeks before they did a mass layoff. But
What?
Yeah, it was a very strange story that I won't get into, but it actually was a big opportunity because I ended up landing back on my feet working for the HFO in Chicago.
Okay.
And then I got an incredible amount of experience with Haas, learning how to set up machines, how to install machines, and just really getting a much deeper knowledge into 5-axis specifically, right? And then the Haas, for me, they're the ones that really got me hooked on 5-axis machining. And that was at the point where I had that epiphany with CAM. I had that epiphany with 5-axis machining. Mm-hmm. This is what I wanted to do, was 5-axis machining. So I ended up getting a message, and it happened to be my now managing director, and he was shopping around, and I wasn't interested. I was happy at Haas. I really liked what I do, but one day I messaged out and I said, just out of curiosity, what's the job description? I mean, what's the day-to-day? And a lot of it was CAM. It was, of course, working for a CAM company. A lot of it's CAM. So I took a shot on this company, and here I am 7 years later. I just got shifted into sales. I was an application engineer for the Midwest to the Central Time Zone region. Made the move to Florida, and now I'm the account manager for the Southeast region. So.
Well, I like that journey very much. Welcome to Florida. Florida welcomes you. I have 2 questions or 2 points I want to bring up about that story, and then I want to dive into like the machining side and the software side, of course. But the first thing is actually to my sound engineer. Christian has been doing this with me for every episode so far. And Christian, are you starting to see or hear the same thing I am? Almost every story goes, I love turning a part into something. Have you heard that repetitively throughout the weeks?
Every time.
Yeah, this is the creativity that our minds in the manufacturing, and Christian, for everyone watching and listening right now, is not in manufacturing, but he has the challenge, I guess, to try and understand all this craziness we're talking about. But that is a repeated thing, and I think that's significant to bring up because that's part of my joy as well, is seeing a block of material that turns into something productive or something that helps people or whatever it might be, right? So that one was to my sound engineer. Peter, the next one's to you. I would make the discussion, as you started off your career going, I'm going to make the most delicious things, I'm going into culinary arts. There is a creativity of combination of ingredients that bring out certain flavors in that. You applied that same creativity just into design and creating different products, like everything we see around us right now, plus all the wonderful things we see that Open Mind and Hypermill create. So you didn't stray too far from the creative side of things. I feel like you've applied it in both worlds. And do you still dabble in the culinary side if you're not being forced to make it perfect?
Yeah, I dabble a little bit from time to time. It's hard to not, I enjoy eating. Eating's great. It's fun, right?
As you just mentioned Atlanta and how good the food was.
Oh, so good. But yeah, I think that the creativity aspect, at least on this side, and you're right, there are some similarities. There's always a recipe of some sort, right? And I think with software, particularly CAD and CAM, a lot of users use it as an extension of their brain, almost like an appendage, like an arm, or using a leg to walk, for instance. And it really gets you to, the more comfortable you get with a software, the more creative that you're going to get. And then for me, using the software for 7 years, even as an account manager, I still use the software. Try to stop me. But it is unbelievable what you're potentially capable of doing with the software. I mean, it's amazing. I have a lot of people around me that are incredibly supportive. They're very highly technically minded. I mean, we have a lot of employees on our team that are incredibly talented. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, you're right. Creativity is everything in this business. You have to be creative, or else it starts to get real boring.
A little thinking outside the box, opening that mind, right?
Yeah,
Do you have as you know, I travel the world documenting technology and stories and how things are made and the creativity that goes into it. And being honest, everyone I've spoken to that uses your software just absolutely loves it. And I'm not sure what crack you're putting into their coffee every morning or whatever that addictive thing is you're giving them, but it's really cool to see the advocacy that goes into the people who have invested in the Open Mind Hypermill product. And it seems to be in the blood of the team as well. Everyone seems very passionate that I've spoken with. Every trade show I go to is very knowledgeable with the products, but it also seems very intuitive as well. So would you see a lot of that as you're traveling around specifically with Open Mind?
Yeah, I mean, we're a CAD CAM company, of course. We make CAD for CAM. We're also very, very good at CAM itself. It's an incredibly strong product. It makes our jobs really easy. We have a lot of support from headquarters. We run our business in North America, and we have our headquarters in Munich that support us in development of the software, enhancement requests, et cetera. But we're also a service-based company. We don't necessarily want to just sell you software. We want to create a relationship with the customer. So we wanted to help them if they need any kind of help. We want to make sure that they're getting the best out of the software as well. I mean, it's extraordinarily important for us to make sure that they're getting more out of whatever software they were using previously, for instance. So, it also helps us that our headquarters they give us the tools that we can use to really sell. I think that from a software standpoint in our business in CAM, post-processors are a really big deal. I mean, especially when you add more axes to a machine, the post-processors are critical. They're very, very critical, and you need to be able to depend on those to be able to get your job done with having at least a little peace of mind, right? I mean, that's a huge deal in our company. So we know that it's not just software; it's people too. We want to provide service. We want to give them value, and we want to make sure that they're getting the best out of their software when they want it. So.
Yeah, well, in a moment, Peter, I want to actually have you speak to the audience and kind of describe what sets you guys apart, some of the attributes of the software, the capabilities, and we'll get into that. But before we get into that, I want to have a little bit of fun and just ask you if you've had any favorite projects that you've worked on, anything that was just really helpful to someone or really difficult that was achieved and overcome, or something that just created a brand new relationship with a partner that maybe wasn't there at first and became so much more stable when you were, whatever it might be. Do you have a favorite story you could share with our audience about what you've gone through with Hypermill?
This is Shop Rescue.
Hello, my name is Peter Hancock. I'm the president and founder of Professional Employment Group here in Denver, Colorado. We were excited to partner with EBITDA Growth Systems. We really want to make sure we're successful, because if our clients are successful, we're successful. And we know there's a journey with talent. but also when times are tough, helping them get through tough decisions and bringing in other partners if we can't be the right solution for them. But if we educate them and show them that their jobs are secure, even with more robotics or more technology, they will want to stay with us and not be afraid to go into another industry. But we need to get them excited about the industry and show them that we'll hold their hand to bring them up to the talent needs we need. There are great partners out there in the industry that can truly help make your job easier and make you look more professional.
Yes, I do recall specifically one open house or event in St. Paul, and I think you know where I'm going at with which company's in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Sure.
It's Matsura. We did a collaboration project with a company called Freza Tools.
I know them as well.
Okay, they're also in Minnesota. I worked with an engineer, now a CTO for the company now, so I don't hear from him too much, but great guy. His name is Doug Funsfin. Him and I worked on a great demo. It was just a bone plate kind of off of one of the 3D websites, but Doug's knowledge of his own tooling, and we use a lot of conical barrel tools because our software is just extraordinary with them. And we made a great bone plate demo on the machine. Him and I worked collaboratively together at Matsura, working with one of the engineers there. And I think that one was probably the one open house where everything worked great. And usually things will always work. We make them work. But that one I think sticks out to me more in memory. I don't know if the weather was just good or the food was really good, but I think him and I, Doug and I at that particular time, we had a good enough relationship where we knew what each other wanted, before we even asked for it, which is, when you build that relationship with somebody, it makes the job so much fun. So that's probably one of many that really sticks out as just this incredibly positive experience for me. So it was a lot of fun.
Shout out to my friends over at Matsura, good old Billy Bogue and David Hudson. We hope you're enjoying your semi-retirement, I think, on the advisory side now. And Kelly, you're always a pleasure to work with. Andrew, all the folks over at Matsura. This wasn't a planned question, but because you brought up Matsura and you brought up a project that brought you joy, as a general rule, how much fun is programming and creativity when you get to work with a partner where their machine can do damn near everything?
I will admit I had never run or had set up or really seen an application engineer run that machine. My goodness, they're easy to run.
Right?
They're incredible. And actually, to add on to that story, just a shout out to my buddy and customer Kyle at KCS.
Kyle's amazing.
Up in Michigan.
Yeah, he's got a few Matsuras in there now.
The machine that we did that demo on, he bought.
Can you say his last name, by the way?
Chapinski.
Whoa, I can't. But sorry, Kyle. I just Kyle for me. So yeah, good job.
Chapinski. So yeah, he bought that machine. That was his machine. It was his for sale sign. He was there, and it was nice to see him. Him and I get along really well. It was just overall just a great experience. It was a lot of fun. So.
Connecting with the audience again real quick, because Peter and I do know Kyle in this whole story. I've been into the facility much like Peter has as well, and let me just say, he's a true manufacturing millennial. And what I mean by that is when he was about 25 years old, he decided to start a machine shop. And he didn't start with a 3-axis, more basic, more affordable situation. He said, I'm going straight to 5-axis. I'm going to do the best of the best. And he has ever since. He's in his early 30s now, but he has some MAMs in there. He's got several Matsuras, but everything in his shop is 5-axis, and then all of his CMM room and the quality. He even told me that he has stuff going to the moon, and he's going to engrave his logo on the bottom of the boot so he can see his logo on the print on the moon. Great guy, isn't he?
He's a grinder. Him and I we've gotten along for years now. He's great. He's terrific. Yeah. So it's always good to see him in person. I speak to him more, through the internet, which is, unfortunate, but obviously our miles away from each other is a little bit further now, so it's not just a hop, skip, and jump over to Michigan now. So
we could say it's unfortunate, but the interweb does some amazing things when we're away from each other. At least the horse isn't delivering a letter anymore, so I'm not so mad at it. All right, I want to talk a little bit about the software itself, and then I have a couple other fun questions. Things like, a memorable mistake that you made that helped you, because mistakes are something that bring value to my life as much as I despise them. They're often the best teachers, and there's a lot of people out there afraid to fail. And I think it's a great lesson. And coming from your wisdom and your years of expertise in the machining world is on both sides, from making parts to designing parts and working with an HFO. I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about that. As you can tell, guys, I'm preparing him for questions in advance. But as I mentioned to you earlier, what sets Open Mind apart? Sitting in an agnostic view, partnering with MTD, being a part of MTD and sharing so many people's stories out there, because our job is to allow people to use their own education, their own smarts, and say, this is what's going to work for me based on what I've learned from an agnostic perspective. So sitting in that role, there are tons of design softwares out there. If you and I were sitting in a machine shop right now, Peter, and you were like, look, man, here's what we do great. Here's what sets us apart. Here's where you can thrive by working with us. What would you say those would be?
Well, I can think of a lot, but three things that immediately come to my mind is the first thing is our support for the conical barrel tool. So I'm sure that everybody in the audience has seen a barrel tool, has seen a barrel tool advertised. The tooling companies are really starting to get on board with this stuff. There's a variety of options. But what a lot of people don't know is that what really sets us apart is that our barrel cutter technology within our software is so good that it's patented. So there's something in that formula that nobody else has that sets us apart from everywhere else or everyone else. The second thing that I can probably think of is our hybrid additive solution. So we do dabble in hybrid additive. We love the hybrid machines. We love additive-only machines, but we really love the machines that focus on simultaneous 5-axis. I could probably do a whole nother podcast with you just on the additive stuff.
You're invited.
It's fascinating stuff. We do some mutual collaborative work. I don't know if you've ever heard of Oak Ridge National Laboratory.
I have, actually, yeah.
They have a building called the MDF, which is the Machine Demonstration Facility. It's incredible. It's in Knoxville, Tennessee, and their prime focus is mostly on additive, whether it's composite or metal or anything like that. And they do a lot of really cool work in R&D that have really helped us tune in the software because we listen on feedback. We get input on specific functions of the software that the user may need or it's important. And we can enhance the software in a way to where we can not only benefit the user, but benefit all of our users, right? Because it could benefit everybody if it could benefit that one person. So that's been a lot of fun. I think that the additive side of things is been a really fun journey. It's very challenging, and there's a lot of unknowns in that realm. So, and I think the third, in my mind, the most important part that sets us apart is our new virtual machine. So it's a new type of post-processor that can simulate NC code, the NC code itself. So the way that a traditional CAM system works is that you have a universal toolpath code for a specific toolpath. Then the post-processor will post that code into a language that the machine understands. And then that machine can obviously run. So now you can collision check, obviously, the toolpath code. But as it's getting converted over into NC code, there are some unknowns, right? With the virtual machine, you're posting the code before you're collision checking, which is enormous. But the biggest part of it is a function we call the NC optimizer. And the optimizer is really, it's a problem solver. But it's not only a problem solver, it's an efficiency machine. So as the code is being generated for that machine that the machine understands, it's making it better. It's automatically seeing if there's potential collisions, whether it's the fixture on the machine or the machine on machine, et cetera, and it will optimize the code before you get the NC code that goes into that virtual machine. So it's very powerful. We are starting to now bridge outside of 5-axis, so think 6-axis. Sometimes it can be 7-axis. So there's knife cutters that are looking for, they have these specialty 6-axis machines where the head will swivel. along with the fourth and fifth axis, and then
I'm thinking of like a Boomotech from Starag or something like that
Yeah,
that has
yes,
the
there you go.
multi, yeah, up to 8 axes, I believe.
yeah, there you go. We can also handle W-axis support. We're thinking bridge style machines where you have the double bridge columns that can also shift in addition to the spindle. So the NC Optimizer will automatically maximize the amount of Z-stroke you have on your spindle by calculating within the NC code generation how far up and down you can get that column to maximize the Z-stroke. So it's great for the ones that are making the big stuff, right? I think that the virtual machine we put an enormous amount of developmental effort into. We get stronger every single version. And if anybody's curious, I implore you to come reach out because we have a lot to show. So
You may as well drop in a website while we're at it.
yeah, of course, -tech.com.
There you go. We had to throw that in there since you mentioned come give us a look. You mentioned the software and the advancements in the software, Peter, and I immediately think in my head, oh man, I remember that time I sent a half-inch end mill straight through a table. You ever put in a negative or a decimal where it doesn't belong and accidentally done something like that?
I can think of a couple of times. Thankfully, not catastrophic. Maybe wiped out a couple of lathe jaws in my career, but nothing where the machine took weeks of downtime to get back up and running. So I've been very fortunate, but I'm very careful. So
I'm fortunate also that I haven't shut thing down for weeks, but it does make you change your pants when you hear the noise. Certainly if you're not even standing beside the machine, you thought you had everything fixed. I remember one time I was running a router machine, and it was an older one, and the belt in the head broke, and the Z-axis went straight through the board and was still plowing X and Y because it didn't realize that it was actually one of the older belts that had broken. The system didn't read it, and I'm machining straight through this wood. I'm ripping it apart is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm no longer doing what I'm supposed to do. Immediate red button. I was like, oh my. Anyway, there are definitely some stories on that side of things, and I lead you into that because are there any mistakes that you made that you would find of value that by sharing it, an audience member out there might connect and go, oh, okay, now I don't feel so bad about myself. There's other people out there, and maybe this is a lesson that I can take from it as well and apply to my life to help me become a better machinist or a better programmer or a better human, whatever aspect you want to take on.
This is Shop Rescue.
My name is Paul Van Meter. I am one of the co-founders of ProShop ERP. We partner with small to medium-sized machine shops to streamline their operations and help improve their profitability. This was an absolute no-brainer when I heard about this project. When other shop owners see this and see what's possible, it will inspire them to improve their own businesses, to invest in systems and processes and do the things, pull the levers that Mike and Dave talk about that can have just a huge impact on their shops. The shops that embrace change and are aggressive to pursue it, improve efficiencies, improve quality, those are the shops that are going to thrive. Take those steps to improve their operations and it makes a huge difference. And it's worth getting past that fear to the other side.
I would say I cannot think of a specific instance from a technical standpoint or one specific moment, but I will say that early on in my career, if I knew the things or I had the confidence to get out there and learn what was out there, I'd say that probably is the one that I would give advice. Just never, ever, ever stop exploring in this industry. It is practically limitless. When it comes in terms of grinding or additive or milling or turning or there's a lot of different areas that you can be successful in this kind of space. I think we're in a time now where manufacturing is so strong where there's a lot of opportunities, and I think there's a lot of companies that are willing to give a chance on people that are hungry. I think that my advice to them would be just explore. Don't assume from what you see is it. Just get out there, be curious, just try to find the resources to figure things out. I mean, when I was coming up as a machinist, I didn't have an iPhone in my pocket. I couldn't go onto YouTube or Google things. I didn't have the Titan Gilroys of the world or the Grismos to help me with a lot of these things. So you just have to not keep your head down. Get your head up, ask the right questions, and just be curious. Even if it makes people upset, you got to keep pushing. So.
That's good
Nothing
advice.
specific. No specific moment. But I'd say that, going from young age to my age now, I think that I should have pushed a lot harder. I should have been more curious in an early age. But like I said, everything happens for a reason. I am where I am because I feel that the circumstances got me here, and I'm extremely happy. So.
That's a good response. And since we are name dropping John Grimsmo, John Saunders, good job on your podcast as well. We definitely appreciate everything you're doing to educate us. I have one more question for you before we slide into the game aspect of things, Peter. Everyone loves the games on this show. We got the sound effect game today and the Would You Rather game. I'm sure Christian has perfected his research and development of sounds for us, as I epically failed most recently. And I probably will again today. We'll see how we do. Peter's much smarter than I am, though. So the last question I have for you, as the buzzwords around the industry kind of lean toward labor shortage, they lean toward automation, they lean toward reshoring, they lead toward conversations of 2 to 3 to 4 million, depending on who you ask, of a labor shortage currently, with 400,000 in welding alone. The conversation of by 2030, maybe it'll be somewhere between 7 and 10 million in a labor shortage. The question I have the reason for all of those words just being vomited out of my mouth, that's kind of gross. I didn't mean it that way, guys. I apologize. But using those words and those adjectives, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges currently faced in manufacturing industry, and how do you think we should approach solving them?
I would say probably, in my experience, I think that the whole additive world in general, and I think that going from metal cutting now to printing, I think that there's been, I think that the industry knows what they want, and I feel like the industry is close to getting what they want, but we're not there to where it's a simple and solution that can be more or less drawn out. I mean, this is in the 5-axis space, because when you're moving a table simultaneously, there are some challenges when it comes to building. And I think that there are a lot of very smart people in a lot of very nice facilities and colleges that are trying to figure that out. So I think that's the one area I think that has an enormous amount of potential. And then mixing the additive in with the subtractive environment, I think that you're looking at limitless results, I think, in that space. I think like cutting Inconel, for instance, nobody that's cut Inconel wants to start cutting Inconel out of a solid block. It's going to take you 30 end mills to try to figure that out. But if you could build Inconel and get it to that kind of rough shape and machine just those critical call-outs that need to be machined, you're going to be, I think, very, very successful, I think. I'd say that's probably the best answer I could give you on that. I think additive, there's a lot to be had there. So
that's a good answer. And to be fair, bringing up Matt Sura again, since we had already brought them up, they have a great Lumex machine that can do a lot of that and a lot of different models of that Lumex. And then to your point about cutting it, back when I was working with air turbine spindles, we did a whole lot of high-speed ceramic in-mill cutting. Sparks were flying. It looked like we were doing everything wrong, but it was actually working.
That's ceramic for you, yeah.
But you're right. It's not as fun as it might be to print it. You're going to go through some end mills.
Yes.
So you ready to play some games?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, Christian, do we have some queued up sounds? How many am I going to get wrong today? All of them? I hope not. I hope I get at least one right today. The first show that we did the sounds, I got them all right, but I think I cheated. Don't tell anyone. Audience, what do you think? And I'm giving Peter time to think about it. I have an idea, and my idea leans toward our most recent answer to a question. Let's see what Peter thinks.
Sounds like some form of powder or some type of printer.
It sounds like some additive manufacturing, some 3D printing.
Maybe I'm going to go some form of flatbed printing.
Christian?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah, I got it.
It is a 3D printer.
That counts, that counts.
Nice.
1 for 1, Peter. Well done. I think it's rain. I think it's raining outside.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say that was a lot of chips and a lot of coolant hitting some form of door.
It could be that. It also sounded a little bit like welding to me, like some sparks flying somewhere. Something in fabrication. But it also sounds like rain. Now it just sounds like a staticky TV to me. I'm listening to it too long. I'm hearing a staticky radio, that fuzzy screen. What do you think?
Oh, man. Could be a plasma laser.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Christian, how we doing? What is it?
The title is The Perfect Arc Welding.
Okay, it is welding.
It's
Okay,
close.
arc welding.
It's close.
Yep,
Arc
yep.
plasma. Yeah,
Yep,
okay,
plasma
okay.
is very. The sounds would be similar. All right, what's our third one, Christian? Ooh, I got an idea. I think it's me smashing a can against my head because I'm so strong.
If it's the same as the videos that I've seen on social media, it sounds like a press crushing something fun.
Abs couldn't. Perfect. Spot on.
Exactly.
Spot on.
Yeah, I've seen them.
I give you 3 for 3. I think that counts. I think I was like 1 for 3, maybe 0 for 3.
All right,
but
let's
Peter,
go.
well
Yes.
done, well done. All right,
Yes,
you ready
love
to
it.
play the next game? Would you rather?
Yeah, let's do it.
For the audience who's tuning in the first time, we have played this game a couple of times, but I always like to give one example to start. It's usually the same example as always, so if you're listening for a second, third, fourth, fifth time, then you already know this example, but I'm going to do it anyway. So, would you rather work only with outdated equipment or have the latest technology but with frequent malfunctions? Now, that's not Peter's question, but it's the concept and the idea of Peter would go, you know what? Yeah, just give me something reliable, right? Like, give me something I can trust. Even if it's the latest technology, it's got to work, doesn't it? So, with that being said, I'm going to scroll through this list. All right, so first one I'm going to go with, Peter, is would you rather face strict environmental regulations with higher operating costs or have no regulations but potential environmental impact?
First, I mean, I would always do more, because more, I think, is going to put you in a much safer environment. It may even get you qualified for more work. So, I mean, I think that'd be my short answer for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100% actually. And sometimes we don't like rules. I'm a big fan of asking for forgiveness and not permission. Like, that's just the way I've always worked. But at the same time, people get hurt. Situations, I mean, doors are falling off of planes right now. I prefer a little bit more strategically placed operations, so I agree with you. All right, second question for you. Very well done on that one, Peter. Appreciate you. Would you rather focus on custom one-of-a-kind products or mass-produced standard items?
Oh, you gave me a really good one there. Oh boy. I'm going to say, from my experience, I think that, oh man, this is Tony. You gave me a really hard one. I'm going to say the one of a kind. I think that I've seen a lot of really incredible work that have been a lot of one-offs, and I think that, you know, the mass production has interest for me, but more from an efficiency standpoint, like how fast can we get these done and how little machines can we use to get them done? You know, those are things that are thinking in my mind. Mm-hmm. But I would take the one-off. I've seen a lot of really cool one-off stuff. I mean, we were talking about Kyle and his,
That's
special
right. He's got a lot of those.
Oh my goodness, really incredible stuff. But I'll take the first.
I like that too. Yeah, good answer. All right, last one, last question, last part of the game, and then we have a delicious toast heading our way. And I have a gift for you as well, Peter, for taking the time to be with me today. We'll move on. The last question I have for you is, would you rather work in a traditional manufacturing setting with a predictable routine or an innovative environment with constant changes?
I would never take the first.
Yeah, constant changes, right?
Never take the first.
I could have picked that one for you, just
Yes.
hearing the entire story so
Yes.
far.
That's my advice, I think, to the workforce is embrace change, be creative. I think that you'll get bored really quickly, and you'll limit yourself by doing the same thing every single day. So I would never take the same.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people out there that value the comfort zone, and I don't want to, downplay someone's comfort level, but I've always found from my personal self that the most I've ever learned in the most uncomfortable situations, exploring everything
100%,
outside
same.
of that zone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, same way. I think that the more uncomfortable you get, the more you're going to learn. But
Yeah.
I think it also has a lot to do with your hunger, your drive. I think if you really want it badly, you will figure it out. You know, I think for me, I like to jump into the fires because I'd like to see how quickly I can get myself out of that fire and it all intact in one piece. So and make results, which is great. So I've learned so much just jumping into things. So it's been great.
I can appreciate that. So we're gonna have our delivery of our delicious bourbon that Peter has set out for us today. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna say, we didn't start the fire. Sorry for singing to you again. Peter, I also have a gift for you as well.
Thank you very much.
Here you go, my friend. On this show, Ben, you're awesome. On this show, we love to show a piece of gratitude as well. I think it's very important in all aspects of our lives to find gratitude in those around us, for being teachers, for being students, for sharing their time. Time is the one thing we can never have back. So that's my gift to you.
Thank you.
Do you have a toast for us?
Just a toast to an incredible 2024, and maybe we both find much success and to the future.
I like it. Cheers to all of you. Thanks for
Cheers.
watching and listening. We appreciate you very much. To all the sponsors out there as well, AMT, EBITDA, IMTS, we appreciate you. Thank you all for watching. This is an MTDCNC production. Peter, you are absolutely incredible. Open Mind, Hypermill, check them out. You might make something you never thought you could make before.
Cheers.